Hey there, happy day 1249 of What Shipped Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, documenting my journey as I transition from the brick and mortar corporate world of business, 47 years of running my own businesses and entrepreneurship and small businesses, big businesses, and a quarter century of that simultaneously in corporate America, actually working for some of the most amazing businesses on the planet. Some big publicly traded companies, some big, I guess they weren't small, I was going to say smaller, they're smaller than the big Fortune 5 companies, but they were family owned, they were privately held organizations, but they were very big, be probably $1 billion in today's dollars, since it was 20 years ago. So transitioning from that to the online world of business, following my divorce in 2016, I was looking for something else to do. So in 2017, I decided that I was, old enough to not want to go back to doing the things I'd done before, but young enough that I had still had energy and I didn't want to just throw in the towel and retire and not do anything. So I decided I'd always been curious about the online world. I would start looking into that, exploring that, figuring out what works, what doesn't, what's, the truth, what's nonsense, just like in the offline world, the online world, and probably even more so in the online world than the offline world, because the barrier of entry is so much lower or smaller than in the offline world of business. There's a lot more misinformation, let's say, or less than accurate information, or people selling information that maybe isn't the best for us to consume when it comes to creating and setting up what it is that we want to set up, or doing what we want to do in our businesses and in our life. So I share in this little piece what's worked, what hasn't worked, what I'm doing now, kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly, in my opinion, of course, because there are people that have done things that I really struggled with and been fantastically successful with it, and then there's people that have failed at things that I have been really successful at, that everybody would be like, well, why did it work for you and not for me? So I like to share those things on this segment. Now today I'm doing, throughout the summer, I'm taking care of my granddaughters. I like to hang out with my granddaughters and the people and the relationships that are important to me. So relationships, that part of my life gets a little more emphasis in the summertime months. And when my granddaughter's in school, and I got a brand new baby granddaughter, and I spend less time with them, I focus more on serving people and helping in my businesses and building my businesses. But I set all of my businesses up so that they will run, I stay on autopilot. Of course, all of our businesses need some of our attention, but I only manage and only spend my attention on the key things that I am good at, that I love to do, that I can contribute to. And the rest, I automate or outsource or team up with people to do, so that I can take the summer months and focus less on my businesses and more on my relationships and people, and normally my health as well, in the summertime. Although health is one of those things you need to pay attention to all year round. Not a ton of, but you got to give it some attention or you'll get into trouble. Or at least that's what happened to me. So I'm doing this summer, and starting in August, I'll go back to doing the free 30-day Get Up and Go challenge. August 1st through 31st, of course, because we always have a bonus day. But right now, I'm just doing 2 pieces of content in addition to documenting my journey on this format. One is a Supersize Your Business. On my Supersize Your Business page, I do an idiom a day. I look up and research the history of an idiom. What does it mean? Where does it come from? And then I tie that into what might you do, or how could you use that to grow and build the business that you want, or maybe even use it in different areas and aspects of your life. So our idiom today for that was speak of the devil. Now, speak of the devil is one of those idioms that's been around probably since the invention of the devil, or the creation of the devil, or the discovery of the devil, depending on your beliefs. But Giovanni Torani, or Toriano, or something, in Piazza Universale in 1666 wrote about it and actually used the phrase speak of the devil. Was also talk of the devil sometimes, and the belief was that if you speak of the devil or talk about the devil, he'll appear. He'll all of a sudden, assuming the devil is a he, would pop up and appear. Now I think it's just some kind of a creepy monster thing in my imagination, so we don't want to, basically this idiom is warning us not to speak of the devil. Well, around the 19th century, the meaning of this idiom went from actually talking about or speaking of the devil and being afraid that the devil would come into your life or appear, to eavesdropping or talking about someone and all that isn't there, and then all of a sudden they appear, right? The whole, and probably every one of us on the planet has gotten busted doing this, talking about somebody behind their back, maybe saying bad or good things, but then that person, appears like right behind us. Or you're telling a joke about someone or a story about someone else's story about them, and all of a sudden the person appears in the room or appears right behind you or appears, and everybody's like, oh my God, speak of the devil. So if you haven't had that happen to you, I'm going to invite you to not have that happen to you, unless of course you are speaking praise and good things about another human being. I learned early on, because I got burnt, I don't know, probably saying they're talking about one of my friends to another friend, that we don't talk about people unless we're saying something good. Because we want to create more good in the world, right? We want to create more good in our lives. We want to build people up, not tear them down. Negative feedback should always be done, or any kind of feedback, in private, unless it's praise, unless you're praising somebody or being grateful for them or thanking them or appreciating something that they've done or an accomplishment they've had, and you're talking about that. Those are the kind of things we should talk about other people to other people about. We should never be gossiping or talking to other people behind their backs about judging them or criticizing them or anything about them unless it's praise. Hey, if you're saying somebody's an awesome dresser, you love their new boots, great. If you're saying something negative or derogatory about them, just keep it to yourself. Keep it in your mouth. Don't even say it. Heck, don't even think it if you can. Look for what you want in the world, not what you don't want. So that was our idiom today, our expression. And for some reason, the movie The Devil Wears Prada is, I go to sleep at night thinking about the idiom, and then in the morning I wake up with some ideas about the idiom, and for some reason The Devil Wears Prada was stuck in my mind. And then that apple bottom and the boots with the fur song, I have no idea what they have to do with anything or about my day, but that's what I woke up with stuck in my head today as I was getting ready to do my videos, and it just kind of makes me snicker and laugh sometimes. The information and the things that our subconscious will serve up to us when we ask it questions. So, speak of the devil. Our annual challenge this year is to do one thing every day that centers us from this little journal book that I got up at the cabin. And today was about happiness. We're almost at the halfway point. Halfway through today would be the halfway point in our year. I don't know if y'all know that, but July 1st, halfway through the day, is the halfway point of the calendar year. So today was about happiness. And Ingrid Bergman says, happiness is good health and a bad memory. So our challenge was to think about or share something that we are glad that we've forgotten. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been alive a long time. So there's a whole lot of things that I'm grateful that I have let go of and forgotten. Bad past relationships, bad jobs, bad bosses, bad experiences that we've all had. Our lives are a culmination of all the experiences we've had. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, and they're all defined on us, whether they are good or bad or just, that just happened. To me, there's so many things we can recategorize, and we can just say, oh, yeah, that just happened. I'm not going to spend a lot of time and energy thinking about why, especially if it involves other people creating an outcome that I don't particularly care for. I'm not going to spend any time trying to figure out why people do the things that they do, because we'll never understand them. Heck, we don't even understand why we do the things we do half of the time or 90% of the time, much less are we going to ever be able to understand why somebody else did something. And we just have to trust that we're all doing the best we can, given the information that we have at the time, and we think that what we're doing is the right thing to do, even when we make mistakes, right? Even when we mess things up. So those are the two big pieces of content that I create every day. And they're not big pieces of content, they're little pieces of content. And then this one is the third, just documenting my journey, sharing what I'm working on, what's working, what's not. Doing a couple of different coaching programs and trainings this year. And the summertime, as I'm hanging with the kids, this is my time to focus on really personal development and growth. And I added two, I always talk about in my Get Up and Go challenge, as well as with my coaching and consulting clients, the different areas and aspects of our life, and that there's 7 of them, and they're very important. And we prioritize them based on what's going on in our life and what's important to us. What is important to us is our priorities. It doesn't matter if I need to take better care of myself physically than my sisters do. I need to just do what's right for me. I guess that's an example. But physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, and contribution. Those are the 7 areas. I've learned them from Tony Robbins decades ago, who probably learned them from Jim Rohn and the other motivational speakers that he interacted with when he began his journey in the personal development space. But this year, since I'm in a coaching program, I added communication, which is something that is foundational, that will help us in all those areas and aspects of our life, and confidence. I think if we have communication skills and confidence, everything else will fall into place in our life, because we will be able to communicate what we want and then have the confidence to go after what we want, because we know we deserve it. So those are the 9 areas that I'm working on this year. And I'm always working on the 7, but I added the 2 this year. And I'm just participating in some programs and some live events and some coaching and some calls and online events and things, as well as physical events, to enhance my skills and abilities so I can help the people that I serve in those areas even better. My background is nerdy engineer. I'm not super nerdy, but engineer, which is very detail oriented, and I am not a super detail oriented person, so it's an interesting mesh of my skills and my abilities and my training and my experiences and how I show up in the world, just like it's an interesting mesh how you show up in the world. And I think that one of the best gifts we can give to the rest of the world is to just be ourselves, be who you are, show up as who you are, knowing that everybody isn't going to love you, everybody isn't going to like you. Some people are going to actually think you stink and hate you. Oh my gosh, speak of the devil. It's not a big deal, because there's going to be even more people that love you and respect you and want to interact with you and be a part of your business and your life. All right, that's what I'm working on. I have got a granddaughter coming any second now, so I'm going to hop off and see if I can have better experiences with my technology today than I have the last couple of days. I know Facebook for sure has been making a lot of changes, and I made the mistake of taking one of my pages and going to the new format. Well, now all of my pages have gone to the new format. I think it's just a matter of time. Whenever a social media platform makes a change, a system change, when you have billions of people, they roll it out slowly, and pretty soon it hits everybody. And some of those changes feel like an assault or a pain in the beginning, and then we figure out how to make them work for us. I'm in the stage of figuring out, well, how do I make this work for me? This change, there's nothing I can do about it. There's nobody I can talk to. How do I figure it out and make it work for me? And yesterday I just got a little bit frustrated because one of my pages just would not work. It wouldn't do what I needed it to do to process my information and do what I normally do. So either I have to change what I normally do or figure out a different way of doing it, which is exactly what I'll do. I was going to record my videos on StreamYard today, but I decided I didn't want to make that jump if I didn't have to, because 2/3 of what I was doing yesterday worked, only 1/3 didn't. So maybe I only have to solve 1/3 of the problem, and I don't have to figure it out. And usually what happens when I'm struggling with a change in one of the platforms, in a day or two, or sometimes it's a week or two, it self-corrects, because I'm not the only one struggling with it. So there's a whole lot of people, and I don't usually complain about it or try to figure it out or answer. I try to figure it out, but I don't go to the source and complain about it. Number one, because I know that there's going to be millions of other people that are already bringing it to the attention of the organization, and it will get fixed. And I don't need to focus on the negative energy. I just need to focus on, how do I make it work for me? How do I get the outcome that I want in the easiest way possible, and with the least amount of stress, doubt, energy, and worry, and adding to the negative feedback that I provide to a company. It wears me down. It wastes my time that I could be spending figuring out how to make things work for me. All right, have an awesome day. If I can help you in a way, ask in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow to share what I'm up to, what's working, what's not, what's coming down the pipe. I haven't shared much of what's coming down the pipe yet this year, because a lot of it involves other parties, and some people want things kept very confidential. So I respect that, and I'll just hang out until I get permission to share what we're working on. All right, have a great day, and I'll of course be with you tomorrow.